is Advocate Dali Mpofu. He's from the Pan-African Bar Association of South Africa. Advocate Mpofu, good evening to you. Thank you, as always, for talking to us. Let's put yourself in the shoes of Advocate Mnisi. Here you are, having trained. This is a hobby, as per the judge's words. Does he have permission to really go and run a marathon, given that we have been looking at a marathon trial and a family is seeking justice here? Would you go and run?
Polly, I don't think that's really the point that we want to address as Pabasa.
Listen, this made me laugh so much, okay? Because Oli's question for me was out of line, okay? And right away, I'm going to tell you, Dali Mpofu, okay, might as well be friends of the channel at this point because his response was on point. Like, let's not get distracted by the pettiness, okay? Because Oli said, does Mnisi need permission to run a marathon, a hobby? Like, he minimized Mnisi's request when there is a marathon trial and a family is seeking justice. Why is that justice being placed on Mnisi's shoulders? It's not to Mnisi. Mnisi has done his job. He's taken on an extra client. In fact, he's done a lot for the SENZO MEYIWA trial. He's taken on an additional client under tough conditions. He's done cross-examination of Brigadier Bongani Nicholas Gininda Umhlonisha, not just once, but twice. And he's withheld the pressure, okay? But for Oli of News Africa to minimize Mnisi's request like that, give Dali Mpofu his flowers for ignoring the nonsense, ignoring the noise. It should never be about the marathon, but about the behavior of the judge who received that a notification from Mnisi Wemvula, okay, through his registrar, and the judge is catching feelings about that. The judge is catching feelings over receiving an email, which is actually procedural, but you know what? It's because his processes and procedures are not up to standard. And I've said it before, when they brought him back from retirement, did they take him on a refresher course, refresher class? Did they update him on how things work since he was last in office? Because I think there's a time lapse. I think that's what it is. That's the only explanation, other than, of course, lack of professionalism, but that's a chat for another day. Okay, we've been talking about the lack of professionalism, and here comes Advocate Dali Mpofu, okay, of the Pan-African Bar Association of South Africa. Do you know who else is allegedly part of this Pan-African Bar Association after being expelled from the LPC? I'll let you guys take care of that in the comment section. If you know, you know. Let's continue listening on. I can already tell there's more news coming from Dali Mpofu.
The issue really, I think there are two issues here. One is, and that's the issue that played itself out in court. And then it was, how do you channel a request to a judge? And that issue was fortunately addressed by the other colleagues who appear in that matter. And I think they were able, fortunately, to educate the judge as to how that is done. You don't write to the judge directly. You do it via the registrar. And strangely, the judge found something wrong with that. And he wanted Advocate Mnisi to write to him directly. That's not done. I don't know how the judge doesn't know that.
Why South Africa? It's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make
strange things are happening in South Africa for sure. Where are Judge Ratha'S brothers to pull him aside and say, no, my brother, we don't receive emails from advocates, okay? No, they have to write to the registrar. That is the new way things are done. I don't know for how many years, but it seems Judge Ratha'S, nobody told him. Nobody told him that that's how things work in 2025, 2024 as well, included, because he had the crazy part about it, this is so deja vu, he had the exact same reaction. Exact same reaction. Listen, I'm going to look for the video. I'm going to try to play them side by side. What he did the exact same thing to the late advocate Tulane Joshua Ngomezulu. May his soul rest in peace. And we never learned anything from that. And by we, I mean Judge Ratha. Nobody addressed him then. See what happens when you don't address things when they're still small? They become a big, huge mountain. Now it's a big white elephant in the room. Now it's on all TV stations. Well, guess what? Because Xoli over here took it to Dali Mpofu so that he could say, Nisi wants to run a marathon. Can you believe it? And Dali Mpofu said, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the email situationship. You see, that's what happens when you don't watch the full trial like some of us, and you only get snippets, bits and pieces, and you only hear about the trial from a 15-minute clip, and you think, oh my goodness, Nisi was so horrible. But you don't get the full picture of what actually happened. You don't get the full picture of weeks upon weeks of listening to Gininda, asking him a simple question, and he's going to give you a parable. You see, Nisi has taken a great care of Gininda and his pride to talk. He has allowed him to talk, but he has learned to use his gift of gab to entrap him. He lets Gininda talk and talk and talk, and he asks him questions, and Gininda happily answers, only for Nisi to say, and then I have this, and then I have that, and then Gininda is left struggling. Okay? But we are not here talking about Gininda today. We are talking about Nisi Wemvula, his request to go for a marathon, sending the request through email. Those to me are 3 check marks. That tells me that he's a man on the weekend who has stuff to do. He has hobbies. He has an active life. And the judge belittled him to a little schoolboy. So let's continue listening on to what else Dali had to say, because issue number 1, how do you channel a request to a judge? So, Dali Mpofu of the Pan-African Bar Association of South Africa says Nisi did it right. So drop a check mark in the comment section for Nisi Wemvula, okay? Because we know you're supposed to send an email to the judge, okay? Let's hear point number 2.
But then the second issue is about the remarks that he made about black lawyers. That is totally regrettable and unfortunate, and actually something to be condemned in the strongest possible terms. Because to make remarks like that, and he's doing this for the second time, remember on the first occasion he apologized for making similar remarks.
I'm so sorry, I don't mean to interrupt Advocate Dali Mpofu. I almost said Professor Dali Mpofu, but you know what? I don't mean to interrupt you. I do apologize for this intrusion, but I just want to say, no, he didn't apologize. I just wanted to correct you there. He said if he has offended somebody, then he apologizes. So it technically wasn't really an apology. What is it Nandipa says? Dr. Nandipa Makutumana says, she says she was... It was a extradition disguised as a deportation. That was an apology, okay? That was a statement disguised as an apology. Judge Ratha never apologized, in my humble opinion. But you know what else? Advocate Dali Mpofu says? He says that the remarks that he made about black lawyers, that is totally regrettable, unfortunate, and something to be condemned in the strongest form possible. But you know what? This is not why Newsroom Africa brought him in. Newsroom Africa brought him in to talk about a marathon. That's what they wanted to focus on. Or should I say that's what Xoli wanted to focus on. So shout out to Dali Mpofu for bringing the real issues to the forefront. Imagine a whole media house bringing petty issues like a marathon. That was the focus. That was the intro. Don't believe me? Rewind and hear how he introduces, because I didn't clip out anything. I said I'm going to leave it as it is. So he wanted the focus to be on the marathon. And how dare Nisi Wemvula asked to go for a marathon when in fact there's even worse. What the judge said. Imagine being a black lawyer in your home listening into the SENZO MEYIWA trial, and then you catch strays. Like, wait, whoa, what do you mean black lawyers? But let's continue listening on.
So it seems that this is something that he strongly believes in, the inferiority or difference of black people in general, or black lawyers.
All right.
And we cannot afford to have judges who can spew out racist remarks like that. Whether they are black or white, it doesn't matter.
It appears, I'm sorry to cut in, Advocate Mpofu, in the interest of time, it appears that you have a judge who is at his wit's end because of time pressures and the length of time that this trial has been running. How does he address matters of professional conduct? Because the lawyer himself was in the wrong just yesterday, referring to a police officer as dumb.
I'm so sorry once again, Advocate Dali Mpofu. I really have to jump in because this is rumors. I cannot believe Dali is spreading false rumors. Some of us do watch the entire trial and then we do commentary on our channel. Shout out to Mzansi Unfiltered if you are not yet aware of the channel. But basically, I'm just going to fact check Dali right here before you respond. First of all, Umnisi, okay, popularly known as Umnisi Wemvula, he did not call a police officer dumb. You see, that's the problem with misquoting, and I absolutely hate it because someone also in my comment section misquoted me yesterday, and I said, nope, go back and read again. You are misquoting me, and I hate being misquoted, especially when things are in black and white. Nisi did not say that a police officer is dumb. You see, the danger in that is, imagine a police officer who's worked a full 12-hour shift, gets home, turns on the TV, and hears only spewing rumors that are incorrect. Imagine, and then he hears that Umnisi Wemvula is out here calling police dumb, doesn't have the full story, and then what if he takes the pow pow to go pow pow Umnisi Wemvula? That is problematic, and clearly you owe Umnisi Wemvula an apology. That's a lie. That is a lie. I don't know who's telling you your facts. Your facts are wrong. No ways. Check the full recording. He did not say that. In fact, the LPC, okay, the Legal Practice Council, actually confirmed that there was nothing wrong with Umnisi Wemvula saying, and I quote, if he did not know that about the SENZO MEYIWA trial, then he would be the dumbest police officer. Please note, he prefixed it with if. But Asikolapo, let's continue. I do apologize. Advocate Mpofu. Please do respond.
Yes, well, two wrongs don't make a right, Oli. So you cannot address issue of professional misconduct perceived by judicial misconduct, because to spew out racism and label all black lawyers by the same brush is racism, and it must be called out as that. It would be the same if a woman judge said, well, all women are like this or like that. It doesn't matter who says it, it's wrong. That would be sexist, and this is purely racist. And it cannot be tolerated in a society like this, which is already ravaged by racism. Remember, a judge is an embodiment of society and represents the Constitution itself and protects the Constitution. That Constitution says that we must move from the ills of the past. And for someone to be repeatedly repeating those ills of the past. And I dare say that if a remark like that was made by a white judge, somebody would be up in arms. Yeah. And in my book, it doesn't make any difference that it is made, because it's self-hate. And it's exactly what Steve Biko and Fanon and people like that were talking about, that we imbibe our own inferiority and we then exhibit it in some form of seeking white validation. Yeah. And that is not acceptable in normal society. If I said it to you, Oli, and I said all black journalists are like this, you would take exception properly so. Yeah. And we must not accept that. And as Pabasa, we will be taking this up with the Judicial Services Commission through the proper channels and probably lay a formal complaint against this kind of conduct, because it's unacceptable. And I'm saying that, Toli, without going into the merits of what Mnisi did or didn't do, or whether it was right or wrong. But there is nothing that Mnisi could have done to justify this kind of racist vitriol.
All right. Advocate Mpofu, again, I need to emphasize time. I absolutely take your point, particularly with this country's history, racial history that we come from. However, again, I need to press you on this. Professionalism. Professionalism, Advocate Mpofu, this particular case has already had a lawyer disbarred because of ill behavior. Now, you have another lawyer who uses words in court that clearly are not palatable, and now he wants to go and run a marathon as if to rub salt to the wound of families who've previously complained that we travel long distances from Durban to Pretoria to come and attend trial because we want to see ultimately what's going to happen here. Surely Advocate Mnisi cannot also walk scot-free on this one.
Yeah, look, Tolly, that's the point I'm making. Firstly, it's not true. It's completely false that white advocates don't make requests to judges for such indulgences or traveling or family commitments or that kind of thing. That happens routinely.
A family commitment is different, Advocate Mpofu.
Yeah,
a family commitment, that's important.
No, fair enough. All I'm saying is that maybe let me help you like this, Tolly. Assume that what Mnisi did was wrong, so that we don't have to quibble about that. The point I'm making is that whatever he did, professionalism is a two-way street. Respect is a two-way street. You can't fight professionalism with lack of professionalism. You can't fight misconduct with misconduct. And you can't fight whatever frustration by racism. That is not acceptable in South Africa, and the line must be drawn on that. Assume Mnisi was wrong, assume he shouldn't be running marathons, assume he shouldn't make the request, whatever. But the issue of the day is, and the reason we're having this discussion, we don't have discussion every time that trial takes place. We have a discussion now because a racist remark was made by a judge, and let's address that issue rather than scapegoating by the rights or wrongs of Mnisi's conduct at this stage.
What a darling. Yes, yes, yes. And I mean it in the most professional sense. Give Dali Mpofu, Advocate Dali Mpofu. Judge Ratha'S said we must use people's titles. Okay, we learned that, says Ramasipili. Give Advocate Dali Mpofu his flowers, his bells while he is still alive, because well done controlling the narrative and letting Xoli what the real reason you are gathered for, not his petty questions on the marathon. And the real issue here is the racism, and not Xoli trying to run away from the racism conversation, not Xoli trying to steer the ship back to the marathon, and Dali Mpofu saying, oh no, I see what you're doing, I see you, I don't play that game, I'm an advocate, I spend a lot of time questioning people, criminals included, inside Parati within. I know how to conduct a conversation, I know how to control a conversation, and I know when someone is trying to change the topic. We will not change this topic. You have given me the mic, you have given me the platform, and I am going to speak because Pan-African Bar Association of South Africa does not, okay, and I repeat, does not endorse what Judge Ratha'S did. That was racist. Regardless of what Mnisi Wemvula did, you cannot fight professionalism with lack of professionalism. You cannot fight lack of misconduct with lack of misconduct. That is not acceptable in South Africa. Man, it's like Dali Mpofu took all the comments that we've been typing and sharing, all this molded and just put it all so nicely for us. I loved this moment. Thank you so much for you guys telling me to go check out this interview in the comment section. I appreciate you. I love you. This was powerful. Now, here's the question. What if we ask Dali Mpofu more questions on Judge Ratha? For example, the winking. For example, not just the winking, talking under his breath, yelling. But now we understand. Judge Ratha made it clear today, okay, without fear or favor, what he thinks about black lawyers. He said he does not care. Call me Uncle Tom if you want. But black lawyers, he said it with his chest. Then tomorrow's going to come and apologize. We'll see. I apologize for the continuous interruptions, but this is an important conversation. If you've made it this far in the video, please accept my apology, but this is an important conversation. It has been going on, and we heard him loud and clear. Advocate Dali Mpofu says, and I repeat, Pan-African Bar Association of South Africa will be placing a formal complaint. Where? With the Judicial Services Commission, using the proper channels and laying a formal complaint, because it is unacceptable. There is nothing Mnisi could have done to justify this racist victory. Ooh, that should have been a mic drop right there. But not Xoli coming in to talk about the marathon. Shameless. And then for me, it says, so he's pushing an agenda. He really wanted to be away from the racism conversation. I don't know if it's the sponsors over there at Newsroom Africa, or it's really Xoli's perception. At this point, he's the one talking, so I'm going to take it as his perception was to push the narrative of Mnisi was wrong to us to go for a marathon. But the white, I almost forgot. But the white advocates, they can ask for excuses to go for their family events, and Xoli says family is important. Oh my goodness. This marathon is important to Mnisi. He missed the last one. I support Mnisi Wemvula going for the marathon. I certainly do. Guys, it's an outlet for him. I imagine after all the work that he's done, he needs an outlet, or else he's going to crash and burn. Let's continue listening to the final portion. Again, accept my apologies, okay? I apologize that this is a bit long with my commentary. I hope you can bear with me.
It is completely unacceptable. And even if the professional lawyer had crossed the line, the way to address it is not to humiliate all black lawyers, sitting at home and being insulted on television. For what? Just for being black? No.
Advocate Mpofu, always appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed, sir. He
Pleasure.
is from the Pan-African Bar Association.